This week on Unscripted, we have news on Kevin Owens' current angle on Raw. And there's been a couple different things going around of what he could be doing, and all of them, and we'll talk about that. Plus, news on Toni Storm and her current injury. Will it affect the Mae Young Classic or not? And why did it take almost a year for WWE to let Neville out of his contract? This and more on the future #1 podcast right here on YouTube.com. This is Unscripted. What is going on, everybody? It's Frost, and we're back for Unscripted number 34. It is September 1st, the night of All In tonight, which is going to be the biggest indie event of the year. If you have not checked out the predictions I had for this show, make sure to go check that out on the channel. It is live, and I didn't go really too much into detail on every match. I just gave out my own little predictions because honestly, I don't know much about most of the matches except for the superstars who are in it. So, before we get into news, of course, we like to go over what happened, most of the major stuff that happened on Raw and SmackDown and NXT this week. Well, Raw, the biggest talking point coming out of Raw is the beginning and the end of the show with Braun Strowman coming to cash in his Money in the Bank briefcase to, not that night, but for September 16th, which will be Hell in a Cell. You have Roman Reigns and him going to be inside Hell in a Cell with this cash-in, with a lot of talk going around that Roman Reigns is not losing the Universal Championship at all between now and pretty much SummerSlam or so next year in 2019, which is going to be sad. That you had you wasted it. If Braun Strowman does not walk out of Hell in a Cell with the Universal Championship, you wasted a Money in the Bank briefcase that could have went to somebody else on SmackDown who could have used it. Miz. But no, you gave it to Braun Strowman. Why? Just to have this guy lose it like that? Like that? Are you kidding me? No. If Braun Strowman does not leave Hell in a Cell with the Money in the Bank briefcase without the Universal Championship, then you might as well just cancel Money in the Bank next year because you just wasted our time for absolutely no reason. You did this last year with Baron Corbin, having him pretty much be wasted with the Money in the Bank briefcase. But again, we're sacrificing Braun Strowman for Roman. What did they do at the end of the night? You had Braun Strowman, who was tagging with Roman, go up against Drew McIntyre and Dolph Ziggler. And what happened? Drew McIntyre and Dolph Ziggler lost by DQ because Braun Strowman turned on Roman and beat the hell out of him. And it's kind of funny because WWE, this is not the first time you tried to get Roman Reigns cheered. Yes, Braun Strowman got booed a little bit when he beat up Dean Ambrose and Seth Rollins, who came out to help Roman Reigns. Yeah, they booed Braun Strowman. But when he was beating up on Roman Reigns, what happened? The crowd was cheering Braun Strowman. So I don't know what you think you're going to get when we get to Hell in a Cell, but we're not going to get Braun Strowman getting booed out of the building. It's more likely going to be Braun Strowman not getting booed out of the building while Roman Reigns gets booed out of the building. And of course, they're going to manipulate the fuck out of Braun Strowman and Roman Reigns' match with the music with their sound, because every time Roman comes out, you hear the boos immediately, and then they just disappear. And it becomes very silent, and you can't hear them. And it's like, why? Why would you do something like that? Just WWE ways of doing, like trying to take the narrative and be like, oh well, Roman Reigns isn't getting booed. You can't hear any boos, which yes, they are. Another thing that people are talking about in this, I don't understand why. People don't understand. The big thing coming out last week was that Roman Reigns is now the highest selling merch seller he's the highest merch mover in WWE now. Do you people not realize that they manipulate the people, like, they can make whoever they want be the highest merch seller, especially at like house shows or at Raw, SmackDown, and pay-per-views. I guarantee you go to a SmackDown show, and I guarantee you there's a Roman shirt there. There's a couple Roman items there instead of SmackDown stars. You could have 20 Roman Reigns shirts at a Raw event, and then you go and you look at Kevin Owens and there's like 2 or 3 shirts, or you go and look at Braun Strowman and there's maybe 4 or 5. And eventually, those shirts are going to sell out, but Roman Reigns, there's still a ton of Roman merch right there. So you're going to buy, so somebody's like, somebody's going to be like, oh, I wanted to get like this shirt for my kid, but I'll have to get him this instead. And it's just WWE manipulating their way around, trying to make it look like, oh, Roman's the highest seller. But I guarantee you, if you put Roman Reigns, if you put merch for other people at the same amount that you do Roman Reigns, then Roman Reigns would not be the highest merch seller in WWE. Now, yes, I know that also counts for, like, what I want to say, WWE shops too. But WWE does what they can to manipulate, and I guarantee they do it on shop too. You put the new Shield shirt out, which of course counts towards Roman Reigns, and you have like maybe you put out a new Braun Strowman shirt, and it sells out fast. Whereas you go and everything's sold out but Roman stuff, because they want to sell as much merch for Roman Reigns as they can so they can keep him at the top. WWE is just manipulating everybody to make it seem like, oh, Roman is the most over guy. Roman Reigns is the most, he sells the most merch. This guy is the guy for WWE. But they manipulate you into thinking that, instead of trying and like just sit there and let Roman Reigns get over on his own, which he never will do, or sell enough merch on his own, which he never will do. If you put everything that has to do with Roman Reigns on the same level as everybody else, then Roman Reigns would be nowhere close to where he is. It's just WWE doing what they can to manipulate you into thinking, oh well, he's good. He is the best guy in the WWE, which he's not. Other than that, on Monday Night Raw, there really wasn't anything to talk about other than Roman and Braun Strowman. I mean, yeah, they had Seth. Well, I guess you can talk about. There was also the Kevin Owens quitting on WWE TV. There have been a couple of rumors going around of what's going to happen with him. Is he going to SmackDown? Is he going to be a new Paul Heyman guy? We'll talk about that all in due time. What I think is going to happen with, I pitched it on Monday, I believe it was. I pitched it that I do not want to see Kevin Owens showing up on Monday Night Raw as a fan. I don't want to see Kevin Owens coming up on Monday Night Raw doing anything, or SmackDown Live this week. There's supposed to be a match with Elias and Kevin Owens versus John Cena and Bobby Lashley, which I'm sure it will still be that. I'm sure this will be resolved by October 6th. What is it, October 6th? Yeah. I'm sure it'll all be resolved by then, but we still have a full month to get through. You can have some fun with this. Have Kevin Owens go to Evolve, which, speaking of Evolve, and we'll talk about this in NXT, there's a superstar from NXT going to Evolve for a couple matches, a couple shows. But Kevin Owens could go to Evolve, and don't like have him show up announced, have him unannounced, or go to ICW or Progress as Kevin Steen. Yes, it would make it like, oh, he's still signed to WWE, but he's using his actual name. So have him go to ICW and be Kevin Steen. Have him talk crap about Monday Night Raw and SmackDown Live or whatever, or like the WWE itself, how he was mishandled and mistreated. Have him go through a trial, like all that, for like 2-3 weeks, or do something. You can have a little bit of fun with this, but remember what happened when John Cena had to retire from WWE? He was gone for about not even a week. He was back the next week, and he was just being John Cena again. And it was like, are you kidding me? Just ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. So they can have a little fun with this. I mean, we're not going to see him disappear from TV for the rest of the year. That would just be a little bit too much. So what are they going to do with Kevin Owens? Like I said, have a little fun with this. Have him go to another company, another promotion, if you'd want, for now. Give him a couple weeks in the promotion as a, just a favor or something for that promotion. And have the guy just, like I said, have some fun. We will have to wait and see what happens with Kevin Owens. But it will definitely be something to look forward to, hopefully, if WWE doesn't just say, well, we did it for 1 week and we're going to come back to Kevin Owens coming back to WWE. I think that would be a massive, horrible mistake to have Kevin Owens gone for 1 week and then come back and just be like, oh, nothing was fine. No. Give it a couple weeks. Have fun with this. And let's see what happens with WWE coming up and Kevin Owens in the next few days, because honestly, having it happen like that would just be I think it would kill all intrigue. Maybe he shows up at Hell in a Cell. Maybe we don't see Kevin Owens till Hell in a Cell and he screws over somebody. He screws over not Sami Zayn, Braun Strowman, or he screws over Seth Rollins and Dean Ambrose, who are supposed to be taking on, the likes of Drew McIntyre and Dolph Ziggler in a tag team match. So the Intercontinental title will not be on the line. Bummer, bummer, bummer. Maybe he takes his frustration out on somebody on SmackDown. Maybe a match that hasn't been announced yet. Maybe he goes and gets involved in the WWE Championship match. Who knows? All I know is they can't just have Kevin Owens come back next week like everything's fine. It would not be, in my opinion, it would not be a good idea. Because it would just be like, oh well, already have people complaining and making a big fuss with the fact that Dean Ambrose, who was silent for the first 2 weeks of his return, uses his first set of words on a guy named Jinder Mahal in the back. That's the first set of words he actually has, is he goes out there and pretty much just tells Jinder Mahal that I'm going to kick your ass and get out of my face. So that was the best you had for him. Moving on here, what else did they have on Monday Night Raw? Not much, really. Like I said, that Intercontinental title match was spectacular. So if you do want to check out, for the main roster, if you want to check out a match for the week, it is this match, the Intercontinental title, Kevin Owens versus Seth Rollins. That match is definitely worth your time. But yeah, Monday Night Raw, other than that, nothing really worth talking about. Moving over to SmackDown, we did have the first of 2 triple threat matches for tag team matches to see who will go on to face the New Day at, of course, what else but Hell in a Cell. I don't like the fact that they're doing this entire tournament thing. Why do we have to have multi-man tournaments? Like, we did this before SummerSlam, and it was just one-on-one matches, like team-on-team matches, and now we have triple threats. What are they going to do after this when we get to the Super Showdown? We're going to have Fatal 4-Ways? Fatal 5-Way? We're going to have a Fatal 5-Way? A six-pack tag team challenge? Are we going to have that? I don't know. It just makes absolutely no sense what they're going to do. They definitely need to give us something other than tag team, like tag team tournament. It just makes no sense to do that. What will they do for WWE what will they do for WWE Hell in a Cell for AJ Styles and Samoa Joe when it comes to their match? We did have another, and I don't know why they did this, but we had another match made Hell in a Cell that was not the WWE Championship in Jeff Hardy and Randy Orton. Now, I heard going around a couple weeks ago, I think Pro Wrestling Unlimited talked about this, is that one of the last things that Jeff Hardy wants to do before he retires is he wants to be inside Hell in a Cell. Why? And it was funny because Brian Zane put a little fun out there. He's like, it was nice knowing Jeff Hardy while we knew him. He's going to do a swanton, and I don't know why he wants to do this. Maybe this is why he's reserving his back, but he wants to do it. He's going to probably do a swanton off the top of the cell and miss. So, yeah, Jeff Hardy, it was nice knowing you while we did, because dude's going to get himself wrecked at Hell in a Cell. But what does that leave Samoa Joe versus AJ Styles? Samoa Joe versus AJ Styles is definitely an interesting one because you've already had the one-on-one match. You already have the one-on-one match where you had AJ Styles snap and you had AJ Styles lose by DQ, and pretty much that's why we have what we have going on at Hell in a Cell. With how personal Samoa Joe has made the rivalry between some AJ Styles and Samoa Joe, you've got to get this match in a stipulation. We still have 2 SmackDowns to go before we get to WrestleMania, Hell in a Cell. Why would you have AJ Styles versus Samoa Joe not be in Hell in a Cell? It just doesn't make any sense to me. This match warrants a Hell in a Cell. For all of WWE this year, only 2 feuds right now in WWE from Raw, SmackDown, NXT deserve Hell in a Cell. That is AJ Styles versus Samoa Joe and a Johnny Gargano Tommaso Ciampa blow-off combination, probably at next year's WrestleMania in Brooklyn 5, has to end in Hell in a Cell. It just warrants it. It just warrants it for the NXT Championship with that kind of stipulation. It's the only time, and it's that personal. Samoa Joe versus AJ Styles should be inside Hell in a Cell. Why it's not in Hell in a Cell is beyond me. Are we going to have some kind of stipulation? They've kind of ruined this match already because they did announce for the Super Showdown that these 2 will go one-on-one again for the WWE Championship. It, of course, right now it has AJ Styles advertised as the WWE Champion, but of course, if Samoa Joe does win at Hell in a Cell, which as of right now it looks like he's not going to, then it would be a Samoa Joe versus AJ Styles. I don't see AJ Styles losing the championship until at least the Royal Rumble, if not Elimination Chamber. Why? Because WWE does want to try and do everything they can to beat that CM Punk record with the WWE Championship. Yes, Brock Lesnar held the Universal title for 508 days before Roman Reigns, in the most anticlimactic way ever, won the championship at SummerSlam. So, where are we going to have AJ Styles go? He is the cover athlete of 2K, which comes out in October, which it is September now, so next month. I don't see him losing the championship until Royal Rumble, and it's going to be to The Miz. Why would you have Samoa Joe win the championship if you're not going to have why would you have Samoa Joe win the championship if you're going to have The Miz? Because The Miz is going to beat Daniel Bryan. The Miz is going to beat Daniel Bryan at Super Showdown. And the reason I see that is because you already have Hell in a Cell. It's going to be a fatal 4-way. It's going to be not a fatal 4-way, but it's a mixed tag match between the Mizanins and the Danielsons. So I'm just going to say the shoot names. The Mizanins and the Danielsons are going to be going one-on in a mixed tag match. I see Brie is going to probably win that match so you can get a little redemption because that will even up Miz and Daniel Bryan. And then, of course, the Miz wins the championship wins the match at Super Showdown, goes to, I'd say it's going to be WWE doing what they can because you already have AJ Styles, Roman Reigns penciled in for Survivor Series, and that will be a damn good match because their last match that they had, which was, I believe, Extreme Rules 2016, was their last match, one-on-one match. That's going to be another damn good match, and I honestly could see AJ Styles winning that match. The title's not on the line. Roman doesn't have to win. It's like, why would you have AJ Styles go into Survivor Series 2 years in a row as your champion and lose both times? It just doesn't make any sense. The Miz will get his first chance at the WWE Championship at TLC. He'll probably win that match in some kind of fuck finish way in which the title does not change hands, DQ, count out, whatever. And then we get to the Royal Rumble. Miz wins the title after the Royal Rumble. Is that 100 and some days enough? I'm not sure. I know it has to be. They have to go as close as they can to WrestleMania for AJ Styles to break CM Punk's record. Can they break CM Punk's record by the Royal Rumble? I'm not sure. I have to look that up. I'll get back to you guys that next week if I can. But Miz beats AJ Styles. He will win the WWE Championship. Daniel Bryan will win the Royal Rumble, even though. And this is the thing that pisses me off, is that WWE has it penciled in right now. They want The Rock versus Roman Reigns at WrestleMania for the Universal Championship. So, Roman Reigns can be put over by The Rock. Guess what? It didn't work with Brock Lesnar. It didn't work with The Undertaker. It didn't work with Triple H. It didn't work with Brock Lesnar the first time. It's not going to work with The Rock. Let it fucking go, Vince. God damn it. How many times are you going to try and have this guy put as your main event? 5 years in a row? Are you kidding me? Give me a fucking break. 5 fucking years of Roman in the main event, undeservedly, every single time. No. Why would you give The Rock the Royal Rumble? Why? Oh, so we can just have that clicked off of his um, list of accomplishments in WWE. Nobody will want to see The Rock win because we already know it's gonna be Rock versus Roman. Have him win have him do something else. I don't care. Do not let The Rock win the Royal Rumble. If The Rock is even able to. Hopefully he has some movie obligation to do so we don't have to see him wrestle at WrestleMania because I don't want to see it. I did not care for The Rock's last match at WrestleMania, which was against John Cena at WrestleMania 29. I actually didn't even watch that match live. I knew how the match was going to end. I knew it was going to be a shit show, and I watched WrestleMania 29 up until that match was to start, and I turned it off. Why? Because it wasn't worth watching. I watched their match before, the year before. That match was a shit show, so why would I want to watch a repeat of what I saw the year before? Rock does not need to wrestle ever again. Goldberg doesn't need to wrestle again. The Undertaker doesn't need to wrestle again. They need to stop pulling into the bag of nostalgia. We just had that on Monday Night Raw. Oh, I forgot to mention that. Trish Stratus was on Monday Night Raw. Why? Because they want to pull into the bag of nostalgia, and they want to just sit there and give you something to talk about, which it really wasn't anything to talk about. WWE just has got to stop with the nostalgia. I mean, come on. Give us something new. You wonder why WWE has so much trouble building new stars. Why? Because of shit like that. Why is Trish Stratus on Monday Night Raw? Why is Trish Stratus facing Alexa Bliss at Evolution? Yeah, they want to go bend down forever. They want to give you the reason of why. They give you, like what they did at the Royal Rumble, celebrate the women from past, the present, and the future. Of course, the future being NXT. Why would I care? Alexa Bliss is shit in the ring. Alexa Bliss is shit on the mic. Alexa Bliss is just terrible. The reason Alexa Bliss was brought up from NXT so fast is because they felt like they had a new Trish Stratus in Alexa Bliss. I'm going to tell you this right now, Vince. I don't want to be a bearer of bad news, but I'm going to be. You will never find, whether it's Alexa Bliss or anybody in NXT, you will never find anybody like Trish Stratus. Period. And you want to know the difference between Trish Stratus and Alexa Bliss? Trish Stratus actually worked on her ass off to get better in the ring. She worked her ass off to get better on the mic. She worked her ass off to be one of the best women of that era. That's not Alexa Bliss. I don't care how many championships you give Alexa Bliss. That does not make her a worthy champion. I'm sorry, her last championship reign in 2017. How many title defenses did she have? 3? 4? No. Yes, I know, I believe Trish Stratus was actually injured. See, the difference between Trish Stratus is like one title reign where she had it for like almost a year and didn't defend it that much, and Alexa Bliss is having it for like from SummerSlam pretty much up until WrestleMania and not barely defending it, is that Trish Stratus, I believe, was 100% injured and couldn't defend the title even though they should have stripped her of the title, but they didn't. Alexa Bliss was fine and healthy and they didn't book her in any matches that dealt with wrestling for the championship. So don't give me that, oh, well, she's just as good as Trish Stratus, because she's not. She never has been, never will be. Nobody will replace Trish Stratus as being one of the all-time greats when it comes to women's wrestling, ever. Period. No. SmackDown Live. I went off on a little tangent, but we did have SmackDown Live, and I think I went over everything that I needed to. Yeah. NXT, though. We get to NXT, and NXT just, again, showing you how to do things right. We have what I believe was a tease at what would become War Games, with the Undisputed Era taking on, which was Adam Cole and Roderick Strong versus Pete Dunne and Ricochet. Pete Dunne and Ricochet had one little misstep and ended up costing him the match. They get beat down at the end, and then the War Raiders make their way to the ring to destroy, but they don't get a chance to destroy because what happens? The Undisputed Era bail. And I'm looking at this and I'm thinking, I'm hoping that the guy known as Bobby Fish is healthy enough by the time and can wrestle and is cleared by the time War Games comes around, because yes, I know Pete Dunne and Ricochet had a nice little squabble and yelled and like blamed each other. But could you imagine Pete Dunne, Ricochet, and the War Raiders versus Adam Cole, Bobby Fish, Kyle O'Reilly, and Roderick Strong in a 4-on-4 War Games match? Take my money and run. gosh, I would love to see that. I already made my feelings known about that. I do not want to see another triple threat War Games match. Let's not do that again. It was fine last year. Sanity, Authors of Pain, Roderick Strong in the Undisputed Era. It made sense. It made sense last year. Let's not do it again. Please. Give me a one-on-one, a team of 4 versus a team of 4. I do not need to see the War Raiders and Ricochet versus Undisputed Era versus Team Strong Style, British Strong Style. Please no. Just give me the War Raiders, Ricochet, and Pete Dunne versus Bobby Fish, Kyle O'Reilly, Roderick Strong, and Adam Cole. If Bobby Fish is healthy enough. Also, the biggest thing on NXT is that we had the start of the investigation for who attacked Aleister Black. Of course, Bob and Johnny Gargano also came out and addressed what happened at Takeover Brooklyn and the fact that he lost on his own. He made mistakes. He broke promises. He wants to fix everything, but he doesn't know how. Velveteen Dream came out, and William Regal came out first and asked him, were you the one who attacked Aleister Black? He told him, why don't you look in my eyes and you will see your answer. And then, of course, Velveteen Dream came out and pretty much just told him that you were Johnny Failure, and I don't want to hear about this anymore. This isn't about you. It's about about the experience, which is the Velveteen Dream. Johnny Gargano versus Velveteen Dream, of course, was made for next week, which will be a heck of a show. And then, of course, in the back we had the Forgotten Sons, who will also make the in-ring NXT main roster debut next week. About time. Jackson America, Wesley Blake, and Steve Cutler were the 3. They are the Forgotten Sons. I don't know when or if they will bring in Lacey Evans like they were doing at the beginning of their run on the house show circuit. But I gotta just say, and I said it before, it is about time these 3 guys have been added to the main card. They were there. They've been on the other part of the show, the house show circuit, for it seems like months and months, at least since last year. I know that they made their debut, I believe it was in October or November of last year, when they attacked Sanity. Of course, they had Lacey Evans with them to help them fend off Nikki Cross. I don't know if that was the only reason she was with them. She wasn't being the all-American woman that she is now, the women's right. She actually had, she actually had like a different attire than what she does now, but that's not the point. Also, in that little investigation, you had you had Nikki Cross being Nikki Cross, which was hilarious. I found that to be absolutely funny. She's like, I know who it is, and she's like playing coy with Mr. Regal, with William Regal, not telling him being completely batshit crazy. So that investigation is to still keep on going. So we will definitely have to see what happens next week for NXT and that. Then, of course, as we know, we had the main event, which was a damn good main event, and Keith Lee again showing off his dynamic and his limitless power of how good he is. It's just amazing how good this guy, how he is limitless. He reminds me, Keith Lee right now reminds me of Samoa Joe in Impact in TNA in 2005 when he was a part of the X Division. And he was doing stuff that you would not see a guy his size do. You would see suicide dives. You would see him doing his moveset back in 2005 is not he's kind of cooled himself down compared to what he used to do. But he was being limitless. He was being what Keith Lee is now back in 2005. And Samoa Joe was just a guy that pretty much coined the phrase of it's not about weight limits, it's about no limits from Mike Tenay in Impact Wrestling TNA back in 2005. Keith Lee kind of reminds me of a younger Samoa Joe, and Keith Lee is definitely going to be somebody worth looking out for in the coming months. Maybe he'll eventually, I don't know if he'll make it to the ranks of NXT champion, but there is that nice new North American championship that he could eventually vie for. Not now, not for a while, But I could see by this time next year Keith Lee as a North American champion, part of NXT. But that was mostly everything on NXT, Raw, and SmackDown this week. If you want to hear my full thoughts on all three shows, go check out all three reviews. Raw, SmackDown, and NXT for this week are on the channel right now. Make sure to go check those out. Moving on to what we're going to be talking about this week. We did forget to talk about this on SmackDown. Becky Lynch, which we'll go into our first story. Becky Lynch attacked in full black, like black jeans, black top, and everything. She came after Charlotte, who did take on Carmella in her one-on-one rematch for the Women's Championship, and that championship match was won by Charlotte. As soon as that match was over, and during that entire match, you hear, "We want Becky," and Becky chants for Becky Lynch. Everybody wants Becky Lynch. It's kind of funny how last week on SmackDown Live, you had Becky Lynch tear into the fans with as heel as she has been since her days in NXT, talking about, "Were you guys really on my side? Were you guys really cheering for me? When Charlotte won that match, you guys cheered for her." And then when you get to YouTube, they cut it all out. Well, this week she attacks Charlotte in an anti-heroish way, an anti-authoritative way. Like, she's not the bad guy; she's the victim in all this, which she really is. Bully Ray has his thoughts on this and says, "Fans see Lynch as a female Stone Cold Steve Austin. After unexpectedly turning on her best friend Charlotte Flair, Becky Lynch has gotten all the buzz from the fans of WWE." WWE Hall of Famer Bully Ray recently discussed the popularity of Becky Lynch's heel turn on a recent episode of Busted Open Radio, which I believe he is a co-host of Busted Open Radio. Bully Ray said, and I quote, "The fans want to cheer for a heel Becky Lynch. They want her to be the female Steve Austin. Rolling with Lynch as Austin is one of the top characters in the industry, and they got a female character just like him, and it is a no-brainer that they should go down that road with her." Absolutely, I agree with him 100%. It felt like the narrative for Becky Lynch had changed between SummerSlam, last week's episode of SmackDown, and this week's episode of SmackDown Live. She came out from nowhere, beat the holy hell out of Charlotte, said, "I'm going to take this title. I'm going to, when we get to Hell in a Cell, I'm taking back title, you bitch." Threw down the thing, held up the title, and the crowd erupted in cheers. Hopefully somebody in the back has seen this and is like, "Well, we're going to change course." And you don't have to, turn Charlotte completely heel yet, slow burn that, but have Becky Lynch on this crusade to get her championship back, with eventually Charlotte being the dastardly heel that we all know she should be. I know WWE wants to keep Charlotte Flair as a babyface going into Evolution because they want to use her as, to advertise this show, be part of the media, to sit there and talk about the show as a babyface. But the money for Charlotte versus Becky Lynch is Becky Lynch be the anti-hero who wants to be she should be the anti and the female Stone Cold Steve Austin, and be able to win the Women's Championship on her own when we get to Evolution. If Charlotte Flair is going to be losing this championship in no time. She's not going to be. This isn't going to be like last year where she won the title in November and then lost it lost it 2 nights after WrestleMania. This is not going to be that at all. She is going to be going into WrestleMania next year, going for the Raw Women's Championship, which will be held by Ronda Rousey. You will have Charlotte versus Ronda Rousey next year. Will that be a good match? Most likely not, because it's just Charlotte and Ronda. It depends on how they mesh. Yeah, Ronda Rousey's been doing great with how she's been right now, but other than the Alicia Fox match, because Alicia Fox is just absolutely terrible, but Ronda Rousey is probably going to end up losing the Raw Women's Championship to Charlotte Flair, because WWE wants to get Charlotte Flair to be just as big as a person as her father, which, one, will never ever happen. I don't care how many championships you give her. She could be a 20-time women's champion, and she would still not have the legacy that her father has. Giving her Oscar streak was a mistake, because what you do, you squandered it 2 days later. But yes, Becky Lynch will win the SmackDown, should win the SmackDown Women's Championship at Evolution. This, like, I guess the heel turn for Charlotte should not happen before Hell in a Cell. Hell in a Cell should be where Charlotte Flair turns full-blown heel, takes her out with a chair shot, takes her out whatever way they need her to be, and then of course we're going to have the Super Showdown, and then of course we're going to have Evolution. Charlotte Flair should keep the title until Evolution, lose it there to Becky Lynch, and then move on to be part of the SmackDown versus Raw women's, eliminate the SmackDown versus Raw women's match, for Survivor Series match, and then move on to build up for herself to get to the Royal Rumble. She wasn't in the Royal Rumble last year. She'll be in the Royal Rumble this year, and she wins it. That's how they're going to go. Just so they can have a little notch on her belt again. Toni Storm, our buddy Toni Storm, is injured and had to vacate the WXW Women's Championship due to an injury sustained last week during the UK tournament, the NXT UK tapings. WXW Germany issued the following statement: WXW Women's Championship vacated. WXW Women's Champion Toni Storm has sustained an injury last weekend, and at this point, Toni Storm is waiting further examination to determine the seriousness of this injury. Toni is thus forced to cancel her appearance with us and Progress in Germany this weekend. Toni said she was heartbroken to miss those events. We do wish a full recovery and hope to have her back in the WXW and Progress ring soon. As the WXW, and that is really hard for me to say for whatever reason, Women's Championship would be without a defense in well over 4 months. We have decided to vacate the title despite the current insecurity regarding Toni's situation. And despite Toni having been a fantastic champion, we believe that other wrestlers have the right to compete for the highest prize in this division. Current number one contender is Alpha Female, who is in line for a title chance this Saturday at the WXW Fan 2018 in Oberhausen. Her opponent will be determined in a three-way dance between Killer Kelly, Chris Wolf, and Melina Gray on Friday at WXW Fan 2018 in Hamburg. Storm is believed to have been injured in the final match of the NXT UK Women's Championship tournament last weekend. Since it was already taped, she will still appear in 2018's Mae Young Classic broadcast, which starts next week, and is still scheduled to face Io Shirai. Spoilers! To face Io Shirai in the finals of the tournament at WWE's Evolution on October 28th. I did not mean, I forgot that those spoilers are in there, so I apologize to anybody who does not want to be spoiled. But Toni Storm, will she be at Evolution? We do not know. Dave Meltzer did point out on the Wrestling Observer newsletter that the injury should not be too serious. She might just need 3 or 4 weeks off, which will be most of September, and she should be fine for WWE Evolution. So I do wish Toni Storm a speedy recovery, and hopefully she will be ready for WWE's Evolution, where she will be going one-on-one with Io Shirai. And I think in the end, Toni Storm, which a lot of people have picked this, it's either going to be Shirai or Toni Storm. Now, I did report last week, I do have to remember, that Tegan Nox was actually supposed to be in these finals. Tegan Nox was looked to actually have won this, so she would have ended up going up against a Toni Storm for the NXT UK Women's Championship at a later time. Now, there was talk that maybe Toni Storm would have won the NXT UK Women's Championship, but with the fact that the NXT UK Women's Championship will be defended at WWE Evolution, and those tapings happened after the Mae Young Classic was taped, I don't think they would have had Toni Storm win the UK Women's Championship, for the simple fact is she would have been wrestling 2 matches on the same card, and I don't think WWE would have allowed that. So whoever won the UK Championship, I'm pretty sure was going to win the UK Championship regardless. Speaking of after Evolution, WWE is set to return to Saudi Arabia in November. According to PW Insider, WWE is all set to go back to Saudi Arabia for another big event that's set to take place on Friday, November 2nd. WWE has a multi-year deal with Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, and this will be the second of several events the country will be hosting, with the Greatest Royal Rumble occurring this past April. I do not know what the name of this show is going to be, but it's definitely going to be probably on the WWE Network. WWE does like the show, wants to have these shows on the WWE Network, like they are going to have the Super Showdown. Look out for, and this actually takes place a few days after, like a week or so, not even a week or so after Evolution. So it's going to be really interesting to see what happens. It's November 2nd, which, yes, is like a week or so, like not even a week after Evolution. So for WWE to go back to Saudi Arabia already, it's definitely going to be. I'm sure people are going to be like, oh, well, why are you going to Saudi Arabia? They don't allow women to wrestle. Let it go, people. Just let it go. WWE is getting a lot of money. It's all about the cash, really. It's all about the cash. Do I think it's wrong if WWE goes to a place that doesn't let women do anything other than, come to these events? It's all a business, really. It's not like if you were given as much money as WWE is going to make from this entire deal with the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, would you hold your convictions back and your thoughts back? Yeah, you would probably take this money. You would do what they want you to do as a whole. So anybody having a problem with WWE, just going to Saudi Arabia, screw off. They're giving the women their own pay-per-view, which, by the way, is going to be an absolute failure. Absolute failure. More and more comes out for WWE Evolution. It's going to be an absolute clusterfuck of a failure. It is. Oh, this next thing. May I ask, who chokeslams a 12-year-old? What booker lets a 12-year-old wrestle a match outside of Japan, because they do that, outside of Mexico, which they do that? In the United States, what company, what independent promotion is going to let a 12-year-old kid into a wrestling ring to wrestle a match? If you haven't seen this yet, and I'm not going to show anything about it, but if you have not seen this yet, the wrestling community has been divided, but a lot of people have come out negatively about Izzy, the Bayley superfan, taking a chokeslam in a wrestling match. He is 12 years old, and the first thing that came to my mind is, look at Rey Mysterio, look at Paige. Both of these two started wrestling in their teens. Both of them. Yes, Rey Mysterio was trained in Mexico by his uncle, Rey Mysterio Sr., and Paige was trained by her family, the Knight family, I think is their name, the Knights, who have their own wrestling promotion. But how young is too young is the question I have when it comes to Izzy and anybody who wants to be a wrestler. If you haven't seen it yet, Bayley's biggest fans, Izzy won a wrestling championship over the weekend after a match with Effie Gibbs over the Punk Pro Wrestling Internet Championship. The story gets more bizarre as the 11-year-old, I guess, I thought it said 12 somewhere, but I guess she's 11, whichever, that's even worse, was chokeslammed during the match. 205 Live superstar Lindsay Dorado was not the biggest fan of the bout going down. Dorado tweeted, "I will not support this at all, and I will leave it at that. As a parent and professional wrestler, I feel utterly embarrassed due to my peers' actions. Not okay." Also talking on the negative side of this was Chelsea Green, who I guess, where Izzy learns to train, is also a trainer there herself. She says, and I quote, "I do not agree with Izzy taking bumps, let alone being chokeslammed. It's unfortunate others felt differently. It's also unfortunate her first match wasn't at the school she's trained at, where she is protected, but we live and we learn. I hope promoters take note." Why, oh why, outside of where she is being trained, why oh why would anybody, any promoter, let a 12-year-old take a bump? Yes, WWE did a stupid thing with Nicholas at WrestleMania where he tagged into the match. He didn't do anything. He tagged in, he looked scared as shit, tagged Braun Strowman back in, and won a championship. So, yeah. Lance Storm also, he agrees with Chelsea enough to support the head, agrees with Chelsea Green, saying her head is not, she's not old enough to really be taking a bump like that. Like I said, look at Paige. Look how her career, she's like in her 20s. I think Paige is like around my age. I'm 28 years old. I think Paige is like maybe a year or so younger than me, or a year or so older than me. And she's already has to retire because of neck injuries for years and years. Paige is like a 12-year wrestling veteran, and she's only in her 20s. So something tells me that she's been wrestling since she was like 14 or 15 years old. Still, one is too young to be wrestling. Sean Waltman also tweeted, "No way a 12-year-old's brain should be subjected to pro wrestling bumps, especially a chokeslam. What the fuck is wrong with the adults in this situation?" Now, Joey Ryan, of course, came out in support of this, the Young Bucks put a tweet out with them saying some sick people in this world, picture of them super kicking a 12-year-old or a kid. The difference between a chokeslam and a super kick is, a super kick, you can have your hands up in the way to, just fall back gingerly. A chokeslam, you're being raised up and chokeslammed down on the mat. Also, nobody seems to also point out that she did a tornado DDT, which also is not good because you can also land back and hit your head hard and wrong if you don't take the bump right. It's just, there was no reason that Izzy did put out a thing saying she thanks everybody for the support. She's not going to be taking bumps anytime soon. She's proud of what they did. Thank you for the much love. And the first thing I had to say was bullshit. You just said that you're not going to be taking any more bumps anytime soon. I call bullshit. I call absolute bullshit. You did it once. You're going to want to do it again. The only thing is, why would anybody outside of the school that you're training at not allow you in the ring? Now, if it's that, those mats that those safety mats that you do for someone jumping, okay, fine, whatever. That's nothing. But this is a legit wrestling ring. Bumps hurt. I've never been in a wrestling ring, but I'm telling you right now, bumps hurt. And everybody has a bump limit to their bump card. Why would you let yourself start taking bumps so early in your life? If I had a daughter and she wanted to be wrestling, and I believe it was one, I don't remember, I don't have that one, but I think it was not Mike Canellis. Who was it? It was somebody tweeted out. It was Bailey's boyfriend or fiance. He said if he had a daughter and she wanted to be a wrestler, I would support her through and through. But you're damn straight, and I'm paraphrasing, but he's pretty much said in this fact that you're damn straight she's going to have to wait till she's 18 years old to start wrestling. So I agree with him on that one, for sure. Definitely agree with him on that one. There is absolutely no reason that a 11, 12-year-old should be taking bumps. I know in Mexico, they pretty much start wrestling from the time they can start walking. I'm pretty sure that they're going to start wrestling. And I don't know, and of course Paige likes to joke that she took her first bump while she was in her mother's womb. But you should really hold off on wrestling for a child until I'd say about 15, 16, they could start learning the graphs and everything. But taking bumps should be 17, maybe 18. So yes, Izzy taking bumps at 11, 12 years old is not okay. If she wants to be a wrestler, more power to her. I think she'll do fine if she works on her craft. Let the tornado DDT, the choke slam, no. The only bump she should be taking is maybe a pushback. That's it. The bump that they take where they just cross their arms and they fall backwards. That's the only thing she should be taking. Other than that, no to a choke slam. There is absolutely no reason to do a choke slam on a 12-year-old or 11-year-old. You see people doing that stuff out in the regular world getting arrested for shit like that. What was the place called? Where was it at? It was Punk Pro Wrestling. Why would the bookers at Punk Pro Wrestling and the owners of Punk Pro Wrestling take the risk to have a 12-year-old or 11-year-old take a bump like a choke slam only for it to go bad and she's injured and she gets a concussion or she gets injured in a much worse way? You just don't know. She's too young to be doing that. Just no. No. I don't care, and her parents, where are Izzy's parents for this entire thing? That's another question. Where are they at? Why are they allowing their 11 or 12-year-old daughter go into a wrestling ring with grown adults to have them wrestle, allow her to wrestle a match? I don't care what precautions they take. Any bump she could have took in that match could have ended up wrong, and she could end up in the hospital with a broken limb, a concussion. She could end up breaking her neck. Not at her age. Don't allow your kids to do that at that age. It's just not a smart idea. Let me know what you think about this entire Izzy situation in the comment section below. What do you agree with what I have to say, what the wrestlers have to say? Do you think that it's what's your thoughts on the age that it should be okay for a not just a girl, but anybody, a boy or a girl, to be able to start taking bumps and wrestling in the ring. If I had a daughter or a son, at that matter, they would not be, like, if they want to be wrestlers, they would have to wait until at least 16, 17-year-olds to be put into the beginner classes of wrestling. If they want to start taking bumps and having matches, they got to at least be 17 or 18 years old, in my opinion. I'd say beginner classes are okay for 15, 16, because if they're natural at it, they won't be there for very long, and then of course they can whatever. But if they're slow learners or something, and eventually they can get up to being at least decent, they at least would be there for about a year or so. Let me know what you think in the comment section below on this. Is it being blown out of proportion, or is she just too young? Update on Bray Wyatt. What is Bray Wyatt going to be doing since the Leader of Worlds finally had their send-off in a house show a couple days ago? According to the WrestleVotes, an account that has known to break a variety of stories in the past, Bray Wyatt is on the verge of a slight character revamp. The former WWE Champion has been floundering ever since his partnership with Matt Hardy quietly came to an end. Really, it's only been like 2 weeks, so we really can't say floundering because he hasn't done anything. And now it seems that if a babyface run could well be in its immediate future. Many fans have long since felt that that's exactly what Wyatt needs. But time will tell as to whether or not it will come to fruition. WrestleVotes tweets, getting a lot of questions lately on Bray Wyatt, was told he is in line for a slight refresh. The character should remain intact once he returns to TV, but in expecting a renewed push along with a singles babyface run. Pivotal time in his career ahead. Bray Wyatt, honestly, in my opinion, is a dead character. He was on life support when him and Matt Hardy teamed up. He literally was. He wasn't doing anything. He wasn't in any storylines, so I don't see him really doing much of anything for WWE. So Bray Wyatt as a character, I just say is dead. Nobody cares about Bray Wyatt. They could have maybe did something if they did more vignettes like what you saw with the broken gimmick in Impact Wrestling with the Leader of Worlds. Instead of just having them be wrestling all the time, it might have been something for them, but they didn't do that. They pretty much squandered what could have been a cool tag team thing for Bray Wyatt and Matt Hardy, and now we have just the Leader of Worlds dead. So they're gone. Matt Hardy's going to be going off to do producer work and become a producer backstage. There's nothing left really for Bray Wyatt to do. So I just say the Bray Wyatt character is dead, and send him back to NXT and get him something else. Change him, I don't know, I don't care. Just Bray Wyatt is a dead character. Yes, he has a championship run as a WWE champion, but that championship run was just a joke. It really was. There was nothing. He was not serious as a champion. They weren't going to take him serious as a champion. He never got his one-on-one rematch for the WWE Championship, so it is what it is. News on Wyatt: almost took a year for WWE to let Neville out of his contract. This is interesting. Regarding Neville officially being released from WWE this past week, the Wrestling Observer newsletter notes that he is free to go anywhere he wants because there is no compete clause in effect. That's really weird and interesting. Neville, who has been unhappy with WWE creative, tried to get his release when he quit the company back in October 2017. WWE officials did not want to grant his release when he quit because they didn't want to set a precedent where talent under contract could walk out and go to New Japan Pro Wrestling, which is where he was expected Neville would end up. Neville's contract was then frozen for almost 1 year before being released last week. Why? The biggest question I have is why was there no 90-day no compete clause? If you would have released him from his contract and he had a no compete clause, he would have been off work and not been able to wrestle for 90 days, and then could have showed up in New Japan, which would have been October, November, December, January. He would have been after Wrestle Kingdom for sure. He could have showed up in New Japan after Wrestle Kingdom, but that still would have been 3 months after he got released. So the fact that they say that they didn't want him to leave and go to New Japan tells me that WWE is scared. That just tells you WWE is scared of New Japan and what they're doing. 10 years ago, WWE would have just you can go, we don't care. They could have went to Japan and that person would have just been lost in the shuffle and nobody would have cared anymore. The obvious speculation of Neville appearing at All In this weekend, but that has not been confirmed, and nor should it be. Neville should only show up in It's like there should be no announcement that Neville's coming to All In. If Neville's going to be at All In as Pac or whatever his name is going to be, because it's not going to be Neville. He's not going to use Neville. That's WWE's name. It's copyrighted. It's probably trademarked to them. Why would you want to sit there and use a name that WWE used and abused pretty much towards the end of his time by having him lose the Cruiserweight title to Enzo Amore, and then pretty much make him Enzo Amore's bitch? No, I wouldn't want to use that name. Neville at All In would send shockwaves around the wrestling world that this guy is back. We will have to wait and see this come tonight. We will see tonight if he's in the over-budget Battle Royale or if he helps Stephen Amell beat Christopher Daniels. And quite honestly, if Neville is going to be at All In, this stuff was set up months ago. If Neville is going to be at All In, this had to have been set up months ago, and WWE really just was waiting for the right time to put him out. If WWE really didn't care about Neville, there's a lot of conflicting things saying that WWE doesn't really care about All In, and if Neville does show up at All In, this would show that they really don't, or part of them doesn't. Because if they really wanted to, they could have kept Neville's contract frozen until September 2nd and then let him out. But the fact that they let him out of his contract makes me wonder that he will show up. Before we get on to the last few rumor killers that we have, there is a lot of speculation that CM Punk will be at All In tonight. Last night, if you actually look on Twitter and Instagram and other places, this dude had a meet and greet at the Pro Wrestling Tees in Chicago. And there were videos and pictures of people waiting a mile long just to meet CM Punk. If this guy is not at All In, I would be vastly surprised. I would be shockingly surprised if there is not an inkling or some kind of appearance of CM Punk at All In. It's got to happen. CM Punk at All In has to happen. It just has to. This guy had a mile long of fans waiting to see him. If he does show up at All In, I would also like to commend Cody Rhodes, the Young Bucks, the Elite, the Bullet Club, and everybody who put this show together to get this show sold out and all these matches put together without CM Punk name anywhere at all. Will it take away from the show if CM Punk's not there? No, not at all. Will it improve the show? The crowd will go completely batshit crazy if CM Punk comes out, but will it change the show at all? Not really. We will have to wait and see, but CM Punk at All In, I can honestly expect him to be there. Will he be? I don't know. Moving on here, though, Kevin Owens, Paul Heyman rumor killer. There has been a lot of speculation that as soon as Kevin Owens quit on Monday Night Raw, that he would be the next Paul Heyman guy. There's said to be no truth to the rumors of WWE putting Kevin Owens with Paul Heyman. According to the Wrestling Observer newsletter, rumors of the Heyman and Owens partnership popped up this week, but they are all false. As noted, Kevin Owens quit WWE on this week's Raw, and his profile was moved to the alumni roster. Speculation as Owens returning on the SmackDown brand, but that has also been taken as rumor also. The Wrestling Observer newsletter Wrestling Observer reported earlier this month on how there's been talk of keeping Heyman on WWE TV now that Brock Lesnar has left to train for the UFC return. The door is open for Lesnar return in the future, and officials would love to have him back, but they are also interested in keeping Heyman around. No word yet on who Heyman might work with, but there's talk of Raw Women's Champion Ronda Rousey becoming Paul Heyman girl. Goes back a while. That partnership seems unlikely as the point because of the direction they are going to with Ronda Rousey's character. The only thing right now that I would love to see Paul Heyman do is get the Authors of Pain, somebody with a mouthpiece. Akam and Razor just do not work well on the mic. They took Paul Ellering away from them. I don't know why. I don't know what drugs Vince McMahon was on, but they need somebody to talk for them. That's the biggest reason why Paul Ellering was there, is because Akam and Razor do not have the mic skills to make it on their own. Give them Paul Heyman. Give them the run as the tag team champions that they should have. And there you go. No one else. Paul Heyman. Where was all that? I even pitched it to you and other people did. The Authors of Pain and Roman Reigns would have been a perfect combination for a heel Roman Reigns, but they don't want to do that. They don't want to they take the heat that Roman Reigns has on him right now from the fans and give it to Akam and Razor. Roman Reigns is the mouthpiece of that trio right there. Akam and Razor are his heavies. But no, they want to get the Shield back together and have the Shield be his bitches. Yes, as long as the Shield are together right now, they are Roman Reigns' lackeys. Both Seth Rollins and Dean Ambrose are Roman Reigns' lackeys. That's all they're going to be. They are there to shield Roman Reigns from the hate. Even though as soon as Roman Reigns gets into that match at the Super Showdown, he is going to be heavily booed. It's not going to work, Vince. Let it the fuck go. Stop sacrificing all of Monday Night Raw for one guy. It just doesn't work. Moving on here for another rumor killer on the Velveteen Dream, who will be on Evolve 13th and 112 and 113. Gabe Sapolsky took to Twitter to shoot down any rumor of the Velveteen Dream being sent to work upcoming Evolve shows due to backstage heat over his Call Me Up Vince tights at WWE NXT TakeOver Brooklyn earlier this month. Or last month, it is September now. Dream is set to face Austin Theory at Evolve 112 on September 7th in Joppa, Maryland, and Darby Allin in Allen at Evolve 113 on September 8th in Queens. Sapolsky wrote the following, noting that this will be homecoming for Dream. Somebody tweeted, his name is Common Denier, Bruiser Brady, something cruel about Dream wearing Call Me Up Vince tights and getting sent to do Evolve shots like a week later. This was Sapolsky's reply. Let's just kill this narrative now. Dream was requested by us because his history at MCW Arena in Joppa, Maryland. We wanted a homecoming. He was then asked to do Queens to give the fans something special at LA Boom. Dream was not sent by anyone. He agreed and wanted to. This is the WWE's helping the independent wrestling scene. This is WWE Evolve and Velveteen Dream giving fans a unique, memorable, and exciting experience. This is what is good for our business. Thank you. I just hate the wrestling community when they assume so much. The Call Me Up Vince tights, we don't know what those are actually about. A lot of us thought that it was about Vince McMahon. Triple H said that it was about somebody that Velveteen Dream knew as a name, like a friend of his called Vince, that lost Dream's number, and that's what the whole Call Me Up Vince was about. We really don't know what the Call Me Up Vince tights were for, and that's between Velveteen Dream and anybody else who approved it. But I'm pretty sure if Triple H knows what they were actually for, it's all between those guys. So anybody who sits there and assumes that Velveteen Dream is being punished for those tights, you need to just get your head straight. You need to get a fucking life, because it's not. It's not too much out of the realm of possibility for Gabe Sapolsky to call up Triple H and request a member of the NXT universe to work a show or two. Even Progress has had Cassius Ohno work a match for them against Joe Coffey. I still want to see that match on the WWE Network if WWE could get the independent shows like Evolve, Progress, and ICW. I think it was actually ICW, not Progress. One of the two. I still want to see that match between Joe Coffey and Foley and Cassius Ohno. I'd have to look it up, because that would be a hard-hitting match between those two. So anybody who sits there and assumes that the Velveteen Dream is being punished and have to work Evolve, that's not a demotion. That's not like being sent to. He would be being punished if he was put on Monday Night Raw. He would be being punished if he was forced to go to SmackDown Live and be killed like that by Vince McMahon, because Vince McMahon doesn't get the gimmick. That's why. That would be a demotion. But anybody who thinks that Dream is being punished by working Evolve, you are an absolute moron. Plain and simple. You are an absolute moron. Just saying. So, anybody who is going to the Evolve shows on September 7th and 8th in Joppa, Maryland, and Queens, get ready to experience the Velveteen Dream. Enjoy. And I believe we have one more here. Yes, we do. News on rumored AJ Lee return being called up to work Evolution. According to Eastern Online rumors that WWE talking to AJ Lee about returning to the company for the All Women's Evolution pay-per-view on October 28th. The Wrestling Observer newsletter reports that there was nothing to these rumors, as a few weeks ago, a WWE return for AJ seems very unlikely given the various circumstances. The Observer also points out to how a deal between WWE and AJ would be very difficult, and how the whole situation with the lawsuits between WWE's Dr. Chris Amon and AJ's husband CM Punk could make a deal almost impossible, even with the suit being settled earlier this month. AJ retired from in-ring action in 2015 after leaving WWE. She later revealed in her 2017 book that she decided to retire after reaching her goals in the business and after discovering permanent damage to her cervical spine. She also cited the problems between Punk and WWE as being an issue. The pro wrestling world has seen crazier returns in the past, but AJ returning would be a shocker. I already mentioned this one on a related note. Punk is drawing a large crowd for his meet and greet at the 1 Hour Tea store in Chicago yesterday, and signing began at 9 a.m. and is scheduled to run until 6 p.m. The appearance, promoted by Pro Wrestling Tees, was booked to bring attention to the big All-In Indie event in Chicago on Sunday. There is obvious speculation of Punk appearing, but it is believed that he will not work the show in any way. The initial 200 tickets for Punk's signing sold out in 50 seconds, and another 100 tickets were then released. The $90 Best in the World experience tickets included an exclusive t-shirt, one autograph, 8x10, or a personal item, $50 extra for additional add-on autographs, and a professional photo op with one guest allowed in the photo. They also sold individual $50 tickets for one autographed 8x10 or personal items, and individual $50 tickets for photo ops. I did see, I believe, what was the special shirt, which was a picture of him in his Indian style doing his pipe bomb on the front of a NES cartridge. It was pretty awesome. So, yes, will we ever see, of all the women who should be asked to come back if they would be able to, would be AJ Lee, because she did so much for WWE in the mid 2000s, in the 2010s, I should say, the early 2010s for sure. From 2000, I think it was like 2010 until 2015, so about 5 years. She was one of the few who drove for change in women's wrestling. Not Stephanie McMahon. AJ Lee had to hound Stephanie McMahon and others in the back to get anything done for the women. When Stephanie McMahon would put out a tweet about women's equality, AJ Lee would lash out at her for the pay between men and women being so different. But AJ Lee was a driving force. They talk about Paige and they talk about Emma being the women's evolution in NXT. AJ Lee was being the driving force about the women's evolution on main roster. When she was sitting there and she did the pipe bomb to the Bella twins and saying talent isn't sexually transmitted, because it's not. And yes, Brie and Nikki Bella suck in the ring and they suck on the mic. I want to just take my ears, I want to take like 2 toothpicks and just drill them into my ears and bust my eardrums when you heard Brie Bella talking on SmackDown this week. I just wanted to fucking mute the damn TV. When I hear Nikki and Brie open their fucking mouths, it's as bad as the Iconics. So yeah, no thank you to them. But Nikki Bella, AJ Lee, if there is any way to get her to come back, would be a welcome for the wrestling world, because she, out of everybody, should be somebody who works WWE Evolution. Whether it's a match, just an appearance, she could be on the pre-show, she could be on the commentary team. It doesn't matter. She should be there. It's just sad that WWE is so petty that she should have been forever. She should have been the longest reigning Divas champion. But what did they do? John Cena, bitch at the time, Nikki, had to kiss his, get everything handed to her. Before there was Charlotte Flair, who's getting everything she wanted once in the WWE, there was Nikki Bella because of who she was with. So yeah, why WWE would want to bring back AJ Lee? It should be a thing. Will it ever happen? Probably not. But that is going to be all for Unscripted this week. We do have All In happening tonight. I will be doing everything I can to watch that show. I'm not going to be able to see 0 Hour because I do not get I'll have to find it online if I can, if there's a way to stream 0 Hour, because I do not get WGN America on PlayStation Vue. Sad. But, I'll I'll find a way to see 0 Hour, where I definitely want to see who's going to win the Battle Royal, who's going to win against the Briscoes and SoCal Uncensored. But we will hopefully have that review up on. If anything, we should hopefully have a review done for Sunday. Until then, my name is DeFrance. Find me on Twitter at DeFrance. Find me on twitch.tv/DeFrance08. Make sure to hit that subscribe button and comment down below, like this video or dislike it. Leave me some comments on what you think of everything I talked about today. If you have not seen Raw, SmackDown, NXT, or the All-In preview videos, they are on YouTube right now. Make sure to hit those up and get yourself ready for All In tonight. Until then, I will see you guys hopefully tomorrow for All In review. Until then, my name is DeFrance, and I will see you guys later.